In the solitude of the Arizona desert, at mile marker 66, cars inexplicably begin to fail. The radio fills with static, lights flicker, and the engine sputters. Then, as if out of nowhere, an old gas station appears, its faint lights flickering in the darkness. The weathered sign only reveals part of the name, Hill Gas Station. The place looks abandoned but feels alive, like it's waiting. The silence is broken by a nostalgic crackling song drifting from inside the station. In the shadows, a figure appears, a man in a worn uniform, standing next to a gas pump. He moves slowly, and the driver realizes he is not alone. Out on the road, illuminated by the headlights, a woman in white stands still. The music grows louder, the air grows heavy, and the driver feels that something terribly wrong is about to happen. Under the station's flickering yellow lights, the driver sees the attendant up close. Worn uniform, gray skin, and oily hands. Silently, he begins to pump gas, but the meter doesn't move. "How much do I owe?" the driver asks. The attendant only stares, his eyes shining strangely under his hat. Suddenly, a metallic noise echoes from the office. The driver looks over and sees, through a cracked window, a small shadow moving, the silhouette of a child watching him. When he turns back, the attendant is gone. The gas hose dangles limply, the tank still empty, and the music from the radio grows louder. Inside the office, the shadow waves at him, beckoning him to come inside. The driver enters the office, where an old radio plays a distorted song from the 1950s, as though someone is whispering behind it. When he tries to turn it off, the music stops, replaced by a deep hissing static. Then, a voice whispers his name, slow and distorted, from the radio. The room feels different. Dusty shelves, children's shoes, and burnt photographs lie scattered. In one photo, the faces of children are erased, staring into emptiness. Suddenly, a loud creak echoes from the back of the station. The radio grows louder, the static repeating his name with urgency. Heavy footsteps begin to drag closer through the dark corridor. The driver turns, seeing a tall shadow slowly approaching, as if the radio is trying to warn him. Panicked, the driver grabs the gas pump, desperate to leave. Fuel pours out, but the meter spins uncontrollably and the gas doesn't stop. A dark puddle forms around his feet. He looks up to see the attendant, standing still in the shadows. But now, the attendant is not alone. Silhouettes emerge from the darkness, twisted figures that resemble people but aren't. They stare at the driver, their gaze unrelenting, as the pump roars endlessly, the sound merging with the suffocating silence. The gas stops abruptly and the silence breaks again. In the middle of the road, beneath the dim glow of distant streetlights, stands the woman in white. Her hair hides her face, and her dress shifts without wind. When she steps forward, the headlights flicker and dark stains spread across the hem of her dress, pooling on the asphalt. Wet footprints begin to appear, slowly moving toward him. The radio whispers faintly as the driver stares. Suddenly, the woman is closer, her body slightly tilted, as though she had moved without moving. In the reflection of the car window, something moves behind him. At the back of the station, the driver discovers an abandoned lot, full of dusty, rusted cars. License plates from different states hang like forgotten trophies. In one sedan, tiny handprints cover the foggy windows, as though something had tried to escape. Nearby, in another car, neatly folded children's clothes lie covered in dust. Each vehicle feels like a story interrupted, a mystery of sudden abandonment. Then, a faint ticking sound draws his attention to a distant car with an open door and a flickering light inside. He opens it and the ticking stops. In the rearview mirror, he sees someone sitting in the back seat. He spins around, but the seat is empty. From the far end of the lot, a muffled banging starts up, coming from inside a trunk. The banging stops, replaced by the sound of glass cracking. The driver turns to see the office window. The crack has spread, forming a web of fractures. Behind it, pale, childlike faces appear, watching him with empty eyes. One figure lifts a hand to touch the glass, and a single dark drop drips down the crack. The lights flicker violently, and the figures vanish, leaving a single word scrawled on the window: "Enter." The door to the station creaks open, revealing a dark corridor with a faint, flickering light at the end. At the corridor's end, The driver finds a small room with an old ledger on the counter. Its yellowed pages list names and dates, some from decades ago. His eyes freeze on the latest entry. His name, marked for the next day. The entrance bell chimes. Dragging footsteps approach from the corridor. The driver slams the ledger shut, but a new line begins to write itself. The steps stop right behind him. Desperate, he runs to the bathroom, where the smell of rust and decay is overwhelming. The cracked mirror reflects his pale face as faint whispers seep from the walls. Don't open. Don't look. Don't leave. A stall door starts to bang, and words appear in the fogged mirror. You are not alone. Suddenly, all the stall doors slam open at once, and laughter echoes through the room. Something dark begins to emerge from the mirror's reflection. Panicking, the driver flees to the car. The engine refuses to start, and the radio crackles to life, whispering, "Look in the mirror." In the rear view, the attendant stands behind the car, his shining eyes staring. Turning around, no one is there, but in the mirror, he's closer, surrounded by shadowy figures emerging from the dark. A thud on the road draws his attention. The woman in white stands beneath the headlights, her face now visible, eyes black and empty, fixed on him. The engine roars to life by itself. The radio hisses, "It's time to go." The driver speeds away, but the road stretches endlessly. The woman keeps appearing, closer and closer, as the radio whispers, "You never should have stopped." Everything goes black. The car dies, the headlights fade, and the driver opens his eyes to see the gas station again. In the rearview mirror, the attendant stares silently. The radio crackles and plays the same old song, now crystal clear. He understands. There's no escape. Outside, shadows approach as muffled banging begins again from the trunk. The voice on the radio whispers one final time, "Welcome to your last stop."